Line's good.
Never on!
Whoa.
Hard! Hard, please.
Come on, Brent.
Line's good.
Got real close.
The hair high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham. Scott alongside, as always. Hello, Scott.
Sean, hello. We're now officially curlers for the season. We played our first game last night.
Yeah, how'd that go for you, Scott?
I thought it was fun. I thought the dynamic was good, and I only forgot about the 5-rock zone rule once, so overall pretty good.
Yeah, it was very strange that we had our little team meeting. I have a new player that we're playing with this year. So before the game, we got together a little early and we said, yeah, we'll just let you call the game, do your thing, whatever. And then on my first shot of the season, I yelled down to change the call of that. But that was because it would have been a rule violation. Not because we were questioning. Well, I guess we were questioning the decision. But
why are you making this call? Oh, right. Yeah, I guess it's been a while since I skipped, eh? It was fun though. I enjoyed playing with our new team, and I think we made some really good shots, and the other team just made a few more.
Yeah.
And I think I was saying to you, every miss that they had ended up in a good spot. So it wasn't really a miss. It wasn't what they were trying to do every time, but it ended up being even better.
Yeah, and we were at perhaps a slight disadvantage. Those guys had played the week before. We had the bye, and I know a couple of them play on Thursday nights too. So for a few of them, it was their at least third time on the ice, and for us, first time. So you don't want to make excuses, but that's my excuse for why we lost the game.
It was just fun, and being back at the club and hanging out after was good. So I would give it a 4 stars, that experience last night.
Yeah, it was a very good time, and hopefully for anyone out there who has started back on the season, that you're playing well, that you're having a good time out there. And certainly I felt good today, better than maybe I thought I would after the first time back out, first time playing front end in a while as well. Last season was a lot of back end for me, so really enjoyed the sweeping. Scott, how do you feel today?
Yeah, I feel good too. I don't feel really anything sore at all. So stretching has been working, and ready for more.
It's good. Did you get some lozenges for the most difficult part of being a skip?
Yeah. Actually, I just finished one. My voice has been scratchy all day, and I went to a meeting this morning, and I had to be I went curling last night. That's why my voice is a bit scratchy. I'm not sick or anything, but yeah. Ooh, it's tough.
Yeah. So we're back on the ice. This was a very busy weekend out on tour as well. A lot of events going on around not only the country, but around the world as well. A couple of the bigger results. Corinne Brown won the Prestige Hotels and Resorts event in Vernon, BC. Over on the men's side, it was Team Yanagasawa, one of the Japanese teams, beat Team Harada, another Japanese team, in an all-Japanese final on the men's side of the Prestige event there in Vernon. Stu Sell's side of things, a big event in Toronto. Nick Edin wins the final there. On the women's side, it was Silvana Tiranzoni getting the win. So a couple international teams getting the Canadian part of their schedule off to a very strong start as they head to North Bay for the Slam this week. And closer to home for us, the Hardline Open. This is the first of the CBC's, or I don't know if the CBC is sponsoring it or they're airing it, the mixed double series that they have going on. It was Jennifer Dodds and Bruce Mowat beating Laura Walker and Kirk Myers in the final in an extra end there. So those two will head to, or at least Bruce Mowat will head to North Bay. And there you have it. There was other events going on as well, but those I think are probably some of the biggest ones. Scott, did anything stand out for you over the weekend on some of the results out on tour?
The results I was seeing, it was sort of the cream rising to the top, Sean. So it seems like a bit early for that, but I guess these teams are good for a reason. that mixed doubles event was out at the Carlton Place
Yes,
curling club, Sean, somewhere I know you've played before.
I have.
So what do you think of that club as a venue for this kind of event?
I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's certainly big enough for that size of event. Warm room's pretty nice there. So yeah, I
Mhm.
think good choice.
Right on, right on. So yeah, we'll see how many more of these cool doubles events we're gonna get a chance to see this
Yeah,
year.
well, a whole bunch of them because that whole series is going on. So a few of those through the course of the fall. Also, I don't want to give short shrift either. Felix Asselin won an event in Valleyfield, Quebec, beating Jean-Michel Menard there in the final. So congratulations to them. So there
Where
you
was
go. That's
that a
our
performance a week ago, Sean?
yeah. I know, really,
Could have helped our
really,
bracket.
really needed it. Yeah, a week late for us there, Felix. Let's get it together here next time we pick you. So that is all in preparation, or for some teams, at least in preparation for the return of the Grand Slam of Curling, which, as we record this, is in the midst of draw number 3 over in North Bay, Ontario. That is about a 4-hour drive for anyone here in the nation's capital. Similarly, about a 4-hour drive from Toronto as well. Straight up the 400 to Highway 11 and bingo, bango, bongo. You are in beautiful North Bay, home of the Nipissing Lakers. And Scott, this is a wonderful venue. World Championship back in 2018. They did have a Grand Slam previously. The city turns out for curling events at the Memorial Gardens, which is a great place to, I don't know if it's a great place to watch. I've had the opportunity to play and officiate hockey in that building, and I really do like it as a venue. And I think
Mhm.
North Bay, I imagine, will do a pretty good job hosting this week as well. Is there anything going into this event, Scott, that you want to keep an eye on?
We talked a little about this before we got on, but I think it bears mentioning that the Grand Slam of Curling website is horrible, and they've moved to curling.io for their scores and scoreboard and all that stuff, which is great because it's standardized and it's pretty easy to navigate.
Mhm.
But Sean, I looked for like half an hour to try and find the pools for this event, and they're not posted anywhere.
No.
And it's a 3-game round robin. Maybe there are no pools. Who even knows? Is the person that the team that you're playing against, is it sort of by a random draw? You show up at the club and like stack rooms and see who's playing who? No idea. I read through the previews for this event. It says nothing about how it's being scheduled. There's a format page
Yeah.
on their on their website that also says nothing. Just says like who got invited to come.
Yeah.
So I'm calling out the Grand Slam of Curling here. Do better. Do better to serve your fans, because if we don't know who's playing, then like who's playing who, then what are we tuning in for? Like
Right.
it's just such a crapshoot. So
Sorry, I was going to say Palmetto. We tweeted it out. Palmetto tweeted back at us just saying, "Hey, just go to all the teams' pages. They've tweeted their schedules, and then you could put all together who's in the pools." But as you say, if it's 4 pools of 4, that means 3 games of round robin play. But each team is scheduled to play 4 games, so
yeah,
we don't know how those matchups were created. Was it based on the points and say 1 against 16 or something like that? Like, just there's just absolutely no information there about how this is all put together. And yes, I agree that the website could use a bit of a touch up on on this. It's really not very good.
yeah. So it's making it hard for us as fans to understand the rhyme and reason to the games. So yeah, okay, we could go and look at every draw on Curling Zone and see who's playing who, but the pools that Curling Zone has listed don't seem to be correct because the teams that played each other already are not in the same pools. So
But again, that could be the extra game that has to be a cross pool to get to a 4th game. But again, we don't know that for sure,
maybe, yeah. But
right?
then what's the point? What's the
Yeah.
point of anyway?
Yeah, and if you look at the
I,
standings page as it is currently put together on the Grand Slam website, it just lists the teams from 1 to 16, men's and women's. So it's
Yeah.
not standing by the pools, because that would be a clue too. Like, all right, well, if there's pools and it's going to be based on that, then the standings would be in pools. But no, they just have it 1 through 16. So I have no idea.
It does say it's the top 8 by record, but then okay.
But then it's not pool play then.
No.
What are we doing? It's just 16 teams. You're playing random opponents, and the best records get in. Which, okay, fine, but just don't call it pool play.
Yeah.
Not that hard. Anyway, you know what would be great, Scott, is if somebody bought the Grand Slam who had a lot of experience in designing websites and creating content, some sort of a communications division potentially that could address some of these issues. That'd be nice.
Yeah, somebody in media, that might be ideal.
Yeah, it'd be useful.
Anyway.
So what we're going to do, we'll go through the fields here, both the men's and the women's. And there are odds out there, betting odds. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to give what we think each team's percentage chances of coming out on top. And we will see if for the men's and the women's, our cumulative total is anywhere close to 100%. This will be a fun little exercise in math on the fly for us. So let's start with the women's field. They have already played a bunch of games. They were on the ice this morning. Fun little fact here, Scott, about the National as currently constructed. I'm not counting the old version of it when it was played twice a year and only the men could participate. In sort of the current format as we know it, only Jennifer Jones has won the National and gone on to win the World Championship in the same season, either men or women. So there you go. Kind of a fifth stat that I don't think actually matters, but I came across it and I thought that was fun.
Is that in 2017, 18?
Yeah. So Jennifer Jones won the National in 2017 and went on to win the World Championship that season.
Nice. Bet you thought I wasn't going to get that, but big brain here. Yeah.
Well, that's the only time Jennifer Jones has won a world championship in the time that women were allowed to compete in this.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Hey,
started in 2015, the current format.
Okay.
So there you go. All right. So let's get into the teams here on the women's side. All right, let's start with some of the teams that have already played. We'll kick it off with Team Carrie Anderson. They had a very positive morning against Team Kim. They stole 6 en route to I believe, 10-1 victory on Tuesday morning at this event. Scott, we saw them at the PointsBet. Not quite in midseason form for them, but playing extremely well. What kind of a chance do you give them this week?
Sean, this team I'm going to give a 15% chance to win the event.
Okay. Based on just them being really good?
Based on them being really good, based on them already having a win under their belts.
Yeah.
That much closer to putting another trophy on their, shelves. So
there you go. And let me correct myself. I think I said Team Gim. They beat us Team Kim, excuse me.
Yes.
Kim and Jun, of course, the past silver medalist at the 2018 Olympics. So yeah, I like 15. I might go a little lower to maybe 12.5% for them, but I think that might be the highest percentage I give of any of the teams here.
Yeah, that's going to be right up at the top. I did the math real quick, and that if we just give everybody a 1 in 16 chance, that's 6.25%. So
okay,
we're at least doubling the percent chance from just 1 in 16 for Team Anderson. So that's pretty high.
That's pretty high, yeah. Elsewhere getting a win this morning, it's Team Fujisawa. They got off to a very good start for them, beating Rachel Homan 9-3 this morning. Scott, we always love watching this team. Always a lot of fun, good energy out there. How do you like their chances this week?
Well, like you say, getting a 1 in under their belts already is pretty good. I won't comment on what pool they're in because they play. So looking at their schedule, I can tell they play Rana, McCarville, and Anderson.
Yeah.
In addition to their game against Homan this morning. So, getting that win against Homan is going a pretty long way to putting you into that 3-1 position. At the very least 2-2, which will get you something at the end of the week. So I like their chances here. I'm going to give them an 8% chance of winning.
Okay, that's a little high for me. I was going to go 6%, just sort of on that average. They, because of that schedule, I think it could be tough for them. And if they are in a tie break, potentially it could be a little hairy there. But I do like that team as a really average to slightly above average team in this field. So a team that is, I think, a little more than above average. Savannah Tirinzoni, they got off to a good start, beating Chelsea Carey 9-2. Of course, this team is a little different with Briar Hurlman throwing the lead stones, Carol Howald throwing the second stones, but it is the back end of Savannah Tirinzoni and Elena Pats still hanging strong after the incredible quad that they had over the last 4 years. Scott, I like this team. I'm going to put them in the same, actually. Or maybe slightly below. I'm going to go 12% for them, so just slightly below Carrie Anderson.
I'm going to give them also 15%. So I'm giving out a lot of my percent very early.
Yeah,
here.
You really are.
Yeah.
What if you go over?
Oh, no. What's going to happen? The math,
this whole thing will be
people
ruined.
are going to come for me.
The whole thing will be ruined.
We'll have to redo it.
All right, let's move on to Jennifer Jones. They beat Team McCarville this morning 7-4. Of course, they've already won a couple of events, one out there on tour. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. And then the points bet, they came away victorious from that. So they continue their hot play early in the season. Scott, do you think it continues for the rest of the week?
I do, Sean. I give this team a 10% chance of winning.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right.
Not a 15,
like that.
10%.
All right. I like that. I'm going to go with 9% for them because, yes, they are playing very, very well and continue to run with that momentum here early in the season.
Good. I'm writing these down, by the way. So
okay. All right. The last team that, as we record this, has a win under their belt is Isabella Rana, the Swedish team. They beat Holly Duncan this morning 9-4. It's been a fun couple of years for Isabella Rana. Some big wins along the way, some tough events as well. And it'll be fun to see, I think, over this next quad, how this team continues to progress in their growth. And let's see if it starts this week. But I'm going to give them a slightly below average chance at 4% to win.
4%. Yeah, I'm not going to give them that high of a percent chance to win, Sean. I'm going to give them a 2% chance to win.
All right. Now the other team from Sweden in this field, Anna Hasselberg, her team unchanged with Sarah McManus, Agnes Knockenhauer, and Sophia Mabergs. The foursome there has not played. Their schedule, as we record this, they are losing to Team Peterson. They are going to play Chelsea Carey, Caitlin Laws, and Kim Eun-jung for their 4 games. Scott, one of the best teams in the world. How do they stack up with your 15% teams?
They're going to be a little behind the 15% teams just because, as you mentioned, it is their first event of the year. So I'm going to give them a 10% chance of winning.
All right.
That's
like actually,
Team Jones.
That's where I was thinking too. 10%. I like him a little more, just a scooch more than Team Jones. So I'll give him a 10% chance there.
Very good.
All right. Next up in the teams that are playing as we record this, it's Caitlin Laws and her team with Selena Negevin, Jocelyn Peterman, and Kristen McCush. This is actually, we learned this week, Scott, in fact, a 6-person team at the moment, as Caitlin Laws, we all knew, was pregnant. But Selena Negevin announced that she is also expecting with husband Connor. Wow. So congratulations to them. And a lot of extra hands on board here for a little while for this team as they go through the fall part of the schedule. They've had a pretty good start. They did win an event, did pretty well over at the points bet. How do you think they're going to fare this week?
they're in a good spot. This team, Sean, I'm going to give them a 6% chance of winning.
Okay. I'm going to go a little higher than that. I'm going to go 8% for them. I think they're certainly an above average team. No
Perfect.
question about it. All right. So let's move on to Team Gim. This is Eunji Kim. Excuse me. It's Kim Eunji and her team out of Korea. This Korean curling scene is incredibly strong here, Scott. And curiously, on their schedule, they only have 3 games listed at the moment. They are currently, as we record, playing Daniela Jentsch with a 6-2 lead, also playing Team Kaiser and then Tiranzoni, and we'll see what that 4th game is. But at the moment, it's not listed because, as we said, website's going to website. But Scott, Team Gim, what do you think of their chances this week?
I'm going to give them a 4% chance of winning, Sean.
Okay, I'm going to go a little lower, maybe 3% there, because I think a lot of things will have to go right for them to win.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, next up, Daniela Jentsch, the German team. They are, as I said, playing Team Gim at the moment, losing by 4. See if they can get a comeback here. Excuse me, that game has gone final. Breaking news. It's gone final. 6-2 win for Team Gim. They're also going to play Laws, Carey, and Peterson over the course of their week. Strong showing last year at the World Championships. We've seen them have some pretty good events. I think, Scott, this team has gotten stronger over the past couple of years and posting increasingly impressive results. I'm not sure if they can continue that this week, this early in the season. So I'm just going to go with a 2.5% chance for them this week.
2.5, Sean. I'm pretty confident they're not going to do it. So I'll give them a 1% chance of winning.
All right, next up is going to be Tabitha Peterson, the Americans, here with Corey Christensen, Rebecca Hamilton, and Tara Peterson. Scott, Tabitha Peterson and this team went on a run last year. Can they do it again?
I think they've got it in them. They're a pretty strong team. I'm going to give them a 5% chance, Sean, Team Peterson.
Okay, I'm going to go slightly lower than that. I'm going to go with 3% chance. We haven't had an American women's team win one of these yet. I'm not sure if this is the week for that. They are beating Anna Hasselberg as we speak, 4-2.
Did Jamie Sinclair won?
Did she win
Grand
one?
Slam? Yeah.
My apologies.
The last one of the year in 2018, I think.
Did she win the Champions Cup? Or was the Champions Cup?
No, maybe the one in Toronto.
Okay, No, that's not the players.
Nobody knows. See, they're all the same.
They're all the same. Okay, good for them. So my apologies to Jamie Sinclair, who's now playing back in Canada. So maybe that's it. No, it's playing on an American team as of right now.
Okay,
how's that?
I'm gonna take a look at this, Sean, and figure it up.
Yeah, that's the level of statistical thing that it's like no team has ever won the Scotties while giving up a steal in the third end of their 4th game when that's been played in the morning. So that's a tough sign.
It was the 2018 Players Championship.
Okay, my apologies to Jamie.
Believe Sinclair. I had that.
Yes, well done, Scott. Well done.
Yeah.
Doesn't change the fact that I'm not gonna pick Team Peterson to win.
That's fair. So, Sean, since these games are changing, the order has gotten a bit out of whack for me. So we just did Team Peterson, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good enough. Who's next?
Next on the list is Binia Felcher. Her team, Selena Witschonk throwing the 4th stones, Rafaela Kaiser and Marina Lurcher filling out the foursome for this team. The score has changed since we talked about Team Laws. These two teams are now tied at 5 as they continue play here on Tuesday afternoon. I don't know, Scott, Binia Felcher. I mean, Swiss teams, right?
Yeah, that's it. You can't say 0%. So I'll give them a 1% chance of winning, Sean. 1%.
I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 5% because
5.
Swiss teams,
Wow.
Swiss teams just win games.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Rachel Homan, we mentioned they lost to Fujisawa 9-3 earlier this morning. They did not quite have their A game at the points bet earlier this year. Scott, do you think they can find it after a tough loss this morning and make their way not only into the playoffs, but into the winner's circle on Sunday?
Yeah, Sean, they're a good enough team to do it. So I'm going to give them an 8% chance of winning. Slightly better than random chance.
Okay. I don't know after that loss. It's going to be an uphill battle. Of course, their schedule, you could argue, might be a little softer than some other teams. That Jennifer Jones game in draw number 12 should be a TV game, assuming that Sportsnet gets all their cameras there and starts to broadcast this. But you think that would be the TV focus there. That's a primetime draw, so that should be a lot of fun to see those two teams. Always is when they play each other. And I'm going to go with the 6.5%, sort of right on the line there.
Sean, you're giving me a lot of tough math with all your half percents.
I know, it's fun for me.
Great. Good thing I'm good at numbers.
All right, let's go with Team Kim. This is, of course, Kim Eun-jun. They lost to Carrie Anderson, as mentioned, 10-0 this morning. It's got this team on their schedule. They have them listed to play 5 games. So obviously one of these games is for Team Gim and not Team Kim. It was just inputted incorrectly into the system. So not entirely sure which of McCarville, Rana, Hasselberg, and Holman they won't play. I know we could figure it out. But Scott, this team is a team that can get really hot really fast and go on an incredible run. Do you think they do that this week?
I think it's possible, Sean. So I'm going to give them a 5% chance. Having lost that one game already is a bit of a knock, but 5% for Team Kim.
Yeah, I was going to go in that 6% set on that line, but that loss this morning hurts a little bit. So I'm going to go with 4% chance.
4%. Okay.
Next up is Chelsea Carey. Looks like Jamie Sinclair is in fact playing this week, if you believe the Grand Slam website, playing the third position. Liz Fife, Jolene Campbell round out this squad. Chelsea Carey, if this was a Scotties, I'd be more inclined to be optimistic about her chances, given that she really does seem to focus her schedule and all of her efforts on being at top form once we get into January and February. So because of that, I'm going to go low here and say 2%.
2% for Team Carey?
Yeah.
Okay, that is pretty low, Sean. I'm thinking about 4% for Team Carey. I think they've got the squad to be able to do it, and the loss hurts them, but they still could pull something out.
Yeah, absolutely, they could. No question. Their game tomorrow night, Wednesday night, against Anna Hasselberg, should be a good one there. No question about that.
Yeah. So we have 2 teams left. Is that right?
We have 2 teams left. Yeah. So let's go on to Holly Duncan. Lost to Isabella Rana earlier. And again, maybe this is a bit of a surprise on the lineup front. Megan Balsden is not listed as playing. Instead, the one, the only, the great Sherry Madaw is listed as throwing the third stones this week for Holly Duncan. Rochelle Streibosch and Tess Bobby rounding out the team. We like Holly Duncan. Had fun runs at certain events, has represented Ontario at the Scotties before. But if this is correct and there is a lineup change, Scott, do you think that's going to affect things for this team?
Well, no, not really. I'm going to give them a 1% chance, Sean. 1%. The loss hurts them. They did have a really good fall last year. So they might be a team that's quite good at the beginning of the year. Sherry Madaw is a great player, no question about it. But it's going to be an uphill journey for them this week at the Boost National.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm going to go 3% for them on their chances. Just because I think it'd be super fun if Sherry Middaugh went on a Wayne Middaugh type run, even though she's throwing the third stone.
Yeah, it would be pretty fun.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, rounding out the women's field, it is Krista McCarville, lost to Jennifer Jones earlier this morning, has Kim Fujisawa and Duncan left on her schedule. A fan favorite, no doubt, the team from Thunder Bay. I'm going to give them a 10% chance because I think this will be the team that the crowd in North Bay really gets behind, because for as much as if you look at a map, North Bay is not really Northern Ontario. The people there identify as Northern Ontarians. It is part of the Northern Ontario Association. And I think they will throw all of their support around behind a Krista McCarville run. So I'm going to give them a pretty good chance here.
That's a pretty good chance. I'm giving them 5%, just knocking them for that earlier loss. So 5% chance for me. Sean, can I verify with you the first one? Was it a 12.5% chance you gave?
It was, yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. So that's it. Do you want to hear where we ended up?
Yeah, let's see what our totals are. Are we anywhere close to 100?
So I was exactly 100 because I was keeping track. So
okay, so you cheated.
And Sean, you ended up at 99.5%.
Oh no! Did I really? That's pretty good.
Stop.
That's pretty good. All in my head.
Yeah,
all in my head.
Nice, nicely done.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can recreate that on the men's side. There are some results in for the men. So let's start with the team that has won already today as we record this. That is Brad Gushu. His team beating Glenn Howard 7-6 in their opener. They have Kui Botcher and Flash. Welcome to North Bay, Brad Gushu. Oh my goodness, that is a tough schedule for them. Does that, Scott, maybe impact the chances you give them to win this event?
I think so. Yeah. That's a really tough row to hoe for Team Gushu. That said, they're still really good. I'll give them 12% chance of winning.
Okay, that's a little high for me. I'm going to go low-ish. I'm going to say 7.5%. Again, because they haven't played a lot, and even though they're all veterans and know what they're doing, it just takes a while to get into proper form, get into shape, get the communication down. EJ is a new player. So certainly a better than average chance of winning, but I'm not going to go too high with them quite yet.
All right, fair enough. Who's next?
Next up, a team that beat Mike McEwen earlier today, 5-4. That's Brendan Botcher. And, of course, the new lineup with Mark Kennedy, Brett Gallant, and Ben Heberts. Scott, I know what I just said about Brad Gushu. I'm going to change it a little bit here because this is a powerhouse team. I'm going to go 11% for Brendan Botcher.
I'm going to give them also 12% chance of winning this event.
Okay.
That's
good enough.
No
good
reason.
Analysis.
They're good.
All right. Next up, the other favorite coming out of Alberta, that is Kevin Cooey. Of course, Tyler Tardy, Brad Thiessen, Carrick Martin round out the team. They won their first game against Philip Hosley. Their first game, a 6-5 win earlier this morning. Kevin Cooey, Scott, you can never count him out. So what chance do you give him?
Well, that was a pretty tough game they played this morning. Extra end, I think it went to. That said, they're really, really good. I think that they deserve, Sean, a 12% chance to win.
Okay. Very nice. I'm going to go 11%.
Same as Botcher.
Same as Botcher. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, they're quite good. Quite good.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Team Flash, the Saskatchewan team, they won their first game against Joel Ray-Trunaz 7-4. Hilariously, to me, I think. I hope this is a troll job by Colton Flash. The photo that he has used, or the Grand Slam website has used, is him holding the Brier Trophy with Kevin Cooey and BJ Neufeld and Ben Heber cut out of it. It's brilliant. So good job by him. I fully support this decision. As the second, he's right on the trophy. Like, he's the one holding it. This is great. So they've had a good start to the year. They had a really good run at the Brier last year. This is a team that I'd be stunned if they're not the Saskatchewan representative at the Brier this year. We've talked about that before. I like them. I like them as a playoff team. I like them to win at least a game in the playoffs. That being said, I'm going to go just slightly above average here on a 7.5%.
7.5 for you, Sean. This may be a hot take here. I'm going to need them to show me they can win something before I'm going to give them too good of a chance to win. This is a stacked field. We haven't even got to some of the heavy hitters that haven't played yet. So I'm just going to give them a 4% chance of winning, Sean.
All right. Well, another team that has had a good start to their season, of course, as we said off the top, winning this weekend, Nicholas Adine coming off that Stu Sells Championship. They are here playing Bruce Mount in the first game. Kind of makes you wish they were putting that one on TV. And then they're also going to play Carruthers White and Bruner through their schedule. Scott, how do you think they are going to fare a couple days after getting another trophy?
Yeah, they just won one trophy, so why can't they win another? The answer is they can, and I'm giving them a 12% chance of winning.
Okay. I like that. Obviously a great team. I'm going to go just slightly below Cooey and Botcher. Give me 11% for them.
Well, you had both Botcher and Cooey at 11%.
Oh, excuse me. Right. I thought I still had them at 10%. Give me 12.5. 10%. Excuse me.
10%. Okay.
And of course, the team he is playing first is, as I said, Bruce Mowat. They are here. I have no idea what's going on with Grant Hardy's headshot on the team profile. He's the only one who has a headshot, by the way. This new team that we know nothing about and clearly don't know what they look like. And Grant Hardy, honestly, it looks like his high school student card or something that they've taken a photo of the card and put it there, or some sort of ID.
It's his Curling Canada ID badge for some kind of event. Yeah.
This is brilliant. This website, Scott, I'm starting to come around on this website. I think it's actually fun. I think it's great. The rest of their schedule is Schwaller, Dunstone, and Dropkin after that game tonight. Of course, as we said, Mount coming off a mixed doubles victory in Ottawa, then had to do that terrible, terrible drive between those two cities. It's not that it's far, it's that it's very boring. And Scott, do you think that will take enough out of them that they don't win this week?
I'll tell you what, it could, Sean. It could. I mean, he could have opted to fly to Toronto and then on to North Bay. Depends if he's trying to get those status qualifying miles or not. True. Yeah. Should be fine. Sean, this team is a great team. They were the best team in the world last year. I'm going to give them a 15% chance of winning this event.
Okay. All right. That's pretty high.
Yeah, they're just that good. You know, I don't want to bet against them right now.
Okay. I'm going to give them, again, above average for sure, but I don't think they're the favorites this week. So I'm going to go 9%. And that could just be a case of me not having seen them at all this year. But obviously,
that's fair.
Mowat's in good form.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so let's move on to Matt Dunstone and his team now playing out of Manitoba. They're going to play Ross White, Bruner, and Mowat. Ross White, Bruner, Mowat, and Carruthers for those 4 games. It's a very different schedule than what, say, Brett Gushu got. So again, when we're talking about pool play versus the overall schedule and the standings and everything, kind of curious how that will play a role in determining who gets into the playoffs. But all you can do is play who's in front of you. And Scott, this is one of the best teams in the country, one of the best teams in the world when playing against other teams. So what kind of chance do you give them?
Yeah, Sean, I'm right there. They're on this level right there with Gushu and Botcher and Cooey and Adine. Give me 12% for Team Dunstone.
All right.
I think we've gone through like the real thick of the pack.
I think so as well. I agree. I'm going to go a little lower here. I'm going to go just on slightly above average, 7% here for these guys. Obviously, very good, very talented, and I want to see more of because I haven't seen them play yet a full game. What the impact of all or the back three players tucking is on at least line calls and stuff, and whether that
Sure.
makes things even fractionally easier for Matt on his stones. I think that'll be an interesting thing to watch over the course of the season.
Absolutely.
All right, next up is Reed Carruthers, probably the biggest competition for Matt Dunstone to come out of Manitoba this year. Of course, with Jason Gunlickson, Derek Samagalski, Connor Negevin. What do you think, Scott, for this team? Obviously, great run at the points bet. Can they do it again?
Yeah, coming off that big week at the points bet, they're playing well. They're having fun. The Gunners fit in quite nicely at third. I'm not going to give them 12% chance to win this because I'm running out of numbers. But
Sure.
I'm going to give them an 8% chance to win. I think they're doing pretty well.
Okay, I like them about average. In this field, I think they're in that range. So I'm going to go with 6% for them. And prove me wrong, fellas. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, next up, Ross White and his Scottish team are here. And we've heard for a long time the professor of Peel loves this team as the next up-and-coming Scottish representative, somebody who can really push the program forward. So he's obviously optimistic about them. Scott, are you particularly optimistic about them, at least this week?
I am pretty optimistic about them this week, Sean. I think they're really a solid team. But again, as with Flash, at this level, you got to show me first. So I'm going to give them a 4% chance to win as well.
They're going to go slightly below. I'm going to go 3% just because that schedule is a bit of a bear. They got Dunstone, Dropkin, Eden, and Schwaller. So tough go for them on that schedule. So see if they can come through that. Speaking of Team Schwaller, they're next up on this list. Of course, a very new look Team Schwaller. Benoit Schwartz is throwing the fourth stone. Sven Michel and Pablo Lachey are rounding out the foursome that certainly you would expect to be representing Switzerland at the Euros. I don't know if that's been announced yet, and at the Worlds as we move ahead into the spring. What do you think, Scott, for these guys? Can they recreate or capture some of that Swiss women's magic?
It's going to be tough. Obviously, a lot of talent there, but I'm going to give them a 2% chance this week.
I like that as the number. It's 2%. I agree. I think they could potentially have a tough go with Carruthers Mowat off the top. That team game against Team White, as you mentioned, that's the last game for both teams. That could potentially be a get into the playoffs game. Winner in, loser out.
Exactly. Yeah. That could be a tough one.
All right, let's move on to Michel Brunner and his team, along with Romano Meyer, Anthony Patude, and Marcel Koffler. They are here. Scott, this might be the team that the majority of fans are the least familiar with, would be my guess. So what do you think of their chances? And hey, I'll tell you, though, if they go on a run as the underdogs, North Bay will certainly get behind them as well.
Yeah, for sure. That would be pretty cool for them to do well at this event. I believe this is their first Grand Slam for Team Brunner.
I believe it is. Yes, I think that's
correct
right.
me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah. And I said Michelle. I said Michelle. I apologize. It's Michael Brunner. My apologies.
Yeah, I'm going to give them 1% chance, Sean.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Wow, 1% chance for them. But again, when you're looking at Swiss curlers, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right. So it'll certainly be interesting to see what comes for Michael Brunner. Of course, used to play the third position for Yannick Schwaller. So he's been in these events, but not in this position before.
Yeah. So It'll be first go for that.
Yes. All right, let's move on to the American champions. Corey Dropkin and his team, they are going to be playing Mr. Bruner in the first matchup. And they are here with Andrew Stapera, Mark Fenner, and Thomas Howell. So a lineup change from what we saw at the World Championship last year, where the Young Bucks are more in line age-wise for all four members of the team to fit into that name. Scott, what do you like here for Corey Dropkin and the team?
I'm sort of optimistic. I like their chances here, but I'm going to give them a 3% chance to win.
Okay. Again, that game against Bruner, that first one, will be really interesting. That's the first game for these two teams, and whoever can get off that one, you kind of like them into the playoffs based on both of their schedules. Corey has Team White, Carruthers, and Mowat. After that, you'd think he could scratch out a second one if he gets Bruner, and then be in a position to make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with them. But again, in this field, you wouldn't think of them certainly as favorites. So I'm going to go 2% for them.
2% for them. Good.
All right, now we're into some teams who have already lost a game. Let's start with the Italian champion, Joel Ray Turnez. Scott, did you know he once beat Russ Howard? Little known fact.
Huh. I hadn't heard that in a while. And I just went, oh, yes. He did beat Russ Howard in that famous 2006 Olympics. The loss here hurts them, Sean, the early loss. I'm going to give them a 1% chance to win this event.
I completely agree with that first loss really being a tough one for them against Flash earlier today. They have Botcher, Cooey, and Howard left on their schedule. So I think it's going to be tough for them to get to 2, and therefore don't really give them a chance.
So your percentage is 0?
No, 1.
Okay.
They have a chance. They're there. I have a 0% chance of winning.
Okay. Well, who's next?
Let's go to Team Hosley. That's Marco Hosley. Philip Hosley throwing the 4th stones there. Marco Hefty, Andreas Gerlach, and Justin Hoscher round out this team. They have already lost to Kevin Cooey. As you said, tight matchup there earlier today. They got Howard, Flash, and Botcher. I don't like that schedule for them, so I'm going to go 1% for them as well.
Sean, I don't like their chances either based on that schedule, and I'm going to give them a 0% chance of winning.
Okay.
I'm saying it here, calling my shot.
All right. Well, then let's move on to Glenn Howard. Already lost to Brad Gushu earlier today. They get Hosley, McEwen, and Returnaz as their other games. It's not a bad schedule for Glenn in terms of trying to get into the playoffs. I kind of like the playoff chances here. I don't think I like the championship odds, so I'm going to give them 1.5% chance to win.
1.5. Okay. I'm going to go with 1% for Team Howard. You're right. That schedule is pretty soft, and they do have a lot of talent.
And rounding out the field, again, has already lost Mike McEwen, losing to Brendan Botcher 5-4 earlier today with Flash, Howard, and Cooey left on the schedule. Can they get into a playoff position? Going to be tough with a loss already on the books. And because of that, I'm going to go 2.5% for Mike McEwen. If I was looking at this before that loss, I might have gone higher, but that's going to be tough.
Yeah, tough to come back from that loss. So I'm going to go 1% as well for them.
And there you go. So that rounds out the field of 16 on the men's side. Scott, obviously you got to 100% because you were cheating. Was I close?
I'm just tallying it up right now, Sean.
Okay. I hope I'm close. Like, again, I'm trying to keep track in my head, but then I forgot after like the 4th one. And I figured just if I give enough above average ones and enough below average ones, hopefully it worked out. But if I had to guess, I'm over on this one, but maybe not by much. But let's see where are we at?
You're under, Sean. 83 is the percentage. So
wow.
Anyone in particular you'd want to give that extra 17% chance to?
The top four. Give each of the top four like an extra 4.5%, I guess.
4.25%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what I would do for that. So there you go. Those are the odds as we see them. Of course, you can bet if you want to, and there are actual odds that you can use to bet on who will win. The event will be shown at some point on Sportsnet, and based on the fact that the Blue Jays are in the playoffs and there's pretend hockey going on for the weekend, it might be probably Sportsnet 360 at some point. Maybe even potentially a draw on Friday whenever the Blue Jays are playing, and maybe Saturday as well. That is online only potentially, just depending on what Sportsnet decides to do. To bounce around between all of the properties they have, but that's where it will be. If you're heading to North Bay, as the great Denis Lamoureux is, safe travels, enjoy yourselves. North Bay is a wonderful, wonderful place to visit when it's not January or February, but I do.
And Sean, you're all
love
right. It is Friday night's game will be online only.
Okay. So there you go with so it's not just the Blue Jays, right? They're all the baseball playoffs as they kick off this weekend. So enjoy it, everybody, in North Bay. If you are there and you want to go to True North or North something, there's a brewery that was relatively new when I was last there, just along the highway. And then there's another one close to the Nipissing Canadore campus that I've had beers from. It wasn't there the last time I was there, but I've had beers from it. A couple new breweries in North Bay. So check it out. And the Granite Club, I assume, will be present somewhere in the Memorial Gardens. So go say hello. I spent 3 years there. I'm a fan. Don't want to go back, but I'm a fan. So there you go.
All right, Sean. I have an answer as to how this works.
Okay, we got a response. Great. So what is it?
So they're not pools, they're groups.
Uh-huh.
First of all, I don't really understand why that's different, but you don't play anyone in your own group. Group A plays everyone in Group D.
Yeah.
And every team plays a 1 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed, and 4 seed in a group.
If you're playing every team in a group, then obviously you're playing the 4 ranked teams in that group.
Yeah, this still doesn't make it. So Group B will play Group C.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
So there's 4 groups. Okay, no, this actually I get it. So like B plays C, A plays D.
Yeah.
And so within the groups, the teams are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So they basically went like top ranked team, Group A, second ranked team, Group B, 3C, 4D, and then just ran it that way, essentially, right?
I think so.
So okay.
Last year it was 16 team triple knockouts.
Right.
This is the only way to get to 4 game guarantee with 16 teams, because it's usually 15 teams for these events, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that could have been worse. There could have been a worse answer.
Yeah. So thanks to Curling Zone for explaining that, but make that clear on the website. Like, it's really, really, really unclear.
Yeah.
So that's what I would hope. Put it on the website.
Yeah. Let's make that website good. So it's been improved, as we said. It's been improved, but still a bit of a ways to go there for the Grand Slam website. And yes, thanks to Curling Zone for that clarification. So with that, thank you all for listening. And if you have not yet, please do subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Do likes, ratings, comments, all that good stuff. Helps other people find the show. Keeps us growing. You can, of course, always visit us over at GameOfStonesPod.com. All of our past episodes are available, plus a link to the merch with all proceeds to Food Banks Canada and the Sandra Schmerler Foundation. We, of course, match all of those. If you want to let us know what you want to hear on the show, you can follow along at Game of Stones Pod on Twitter and Instagram, Game of Stones Podcast on Facebook, and Game of Stones Podcast at gmail.com. So curling is in full swing for both us and the professionals, and baseball playoffs, football season. pretend hockey, pretend basketball is going on. Just a whirlwind of sports, Scott. How are you keeping up with it all?
Well, I'm not sleeping as much as I probably should. But honestly, it's great. They haven't announced the times for the baseball yet, have they?
No.
But yes, the Blue Jays will be hosting. It's great for a team that roved, didn't have a home for a year and a half to get a home playoff game, and all the stories you hear about that wild card game in 2016 should be a lot of fun. I did get a text message from my friend saying, "Hey, do we need to get flights to Toronto this weekend?" But I told him the beer is better in my house than at the Rogers Center. So that's where I'll be watching.
Yeah. And if they end up playing Seattle, maybe it'll increase their chances of not getting the 1 o'clock slot each day, because they'll say, well, maybe the people in Seattle would want a not morning start for them to watch, even though obviously the games are going to be in Toronto. Maybe that'll help in terms of not getting the earliest slot. So go Mariners for a couple days at least.
Yeah, and I'll be prepping a nice juicy Thanksgiving turkey on the weekend, so that'll make perfect accompaniment having the Blue Jays there.
Unless it's over. They'll sweep.
No,
it.
I mean I'm gonna do.
They won't have to
Saturday.
play. They won't have to play Saturday. Oh, you're gonna do stuff Saturday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. If you are celebrating Thanksgiving this weekend, the proper time for it. Safe celebrations. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. If you are not, enjoy the curling. We'll be back with you again next week. But until then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.